Good morning. Welcome to Radio Tiny House. I'm Barry Smith.
I'm Beth Smith, and we're tickled.
We're cracking up because this is take three this morning. But we're going to get it done because that's who we are and that's what we do.
Yes.
And I like to do podcasting. I hope you like to do podcasting. I get a lot out of it. I think it's fun. And we meet some interesting people.
We do. That's the fun part.
That is the fun part. Okay, so today is Tuesday, February 16th. I hope you had a nice Valentine's Day with your love.
We're doing a Valentine's Day special today.
We are. If you celebrate Valentine's Day, we don't really do anything special for Valentine's Day.
I think it's a silly holiday.
It is. I think it's made by Hallmark. I think that your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, should know every day that you love them.
And there's always these expectations that people set, and then they're disappointed because somebody didn't take them to the right place, didn't buy them the right thing, didn't whatever. And it's a bunch of
I don't like red roses. I like white roses.
It's a bunch of invisible rules.
Yeah, but we're going to feature a red building. We are. So Valentine's fun. We didn't get any ice this week. We were, all of our weather forecasters had this massive wave that has enveloped all but I think about 3 states in the lower 48. We were one of the three. We were one of the three that was spared from this. I don't know how that happened, but we have gotten nothing but rain for the last 5 days. And the goat area is a mud pit. Our whole acreage is a mud pit. Chickens area is a mud pit. Yeah, it's terrible. So we've got to do something about that. Throw some hay down or concrete. I don't know. But if you're in the storm, if you're listening to us in Georgia or Florida or parts of South Carolina, you probably have been spared from this. But if you're in Texas or Arkansas or Oklahoma, you've gotten hammered. Yeah, and in fact, our guest today lives in Arkansas. Yes. And we did a pre-interview for her because she has no power, and we just wanted to make sure that we could get her story. So I'm going to tell her story for her, and Barry, because we did a quick interview, and then we'll just share her stuff. But we were afraid if we stayed online, we would run her phone down, and she would have no way to recharge. So we didn't want to have that happen. So she was great. And it's really it's a great house. It is a shed house. That's right. And we live in a big shed house, but we also have a drag and drop. What's the other word you call it? Ready removable. I call it a drag and drop shed. But yeah, so we're in one of those right now doing our podcast because that's our shed and our podcast studio. So it's a shodcast studio. No, we call it a shop. Okay, shop. Sorry. And today, we did buy a Ninja Bat, so we didn't get it. Yeah, we were going to buy it because of the power outage that we had anticipated. But that came charged up. Yeah, it's 99% charged. We didn't need it, but we might one day. We did an unboxing video. Unboxing videos. We'll do an unboxing video. Whether that ever gets done and edited, I don't know if we're ever going to post it anywhere, but we did it. We did it. But it was cool. And it comes, has what, 280 watt hours? It's max 300, I think. 300. So I figure I can charge a couple phones, maybe even run my internet if I had to, and run my refrigerator for an hour. Right. To keep it cold. That's exactly right. I think it's worth it for a couple $100 or whatever it was. I think it was worth it. Yeah, I agree. I think it's well worth it. Just for the peace of mind and just to be able to say, oh yeah, we can. Well, and here's the thing. I can also run out. We can run outside if we have no power. We didn't get the solar panels yet. If we can run outside and charge it up from our car. Right. And then run back inside, and then we have power again. And if we get out of power for several days, which has happened to us before, we can run to Starbucks and charge it. Right. It'll take a couple hours to charge, but so we did get the Ninja Bat, but we didn't have to use it because of the ice. So if somebody needs to use our Ninja Bat, they can. I'm not department. Okay. I've been wanting one for a long time. All right, that's true. She has been wanting something. So we had 2 long power outages. Now Barry and I really planned this well. Every time we had a power outage, we were in Florida. That's right, out of town. So we hadn't really had to do it except to come home and dump the stuff in the fridge. But our daughter has been caught that way. Yes. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about, and it kind of ties into to the presentation / interview we did today. Reasons to go tiny or shed living is you can create your own home. Yep. You don't. There are so many things that you can do in this space. You don't have to. I mean, we built what we call tiny house number 1, which we didn't want to build tiny house number 2 after building tiny house number 1. Right, so we didn't do to ourselves. Of course, we did a lot of the interior stuff, and Beth designed it all. But we're in the shed. We did work in the shed to turn it into a studio. We're on the front part. I keep talking about that, but we haven't made any progress. Right, we're so busy with all the things. We're turning that into a video studio and a loft for the grandkids. That Beth has designed. It is going to be cute. We'll do some videos of that. Anyway, you can create your own space, and whether that's just painting. Yep. Or whether it's designing your house and having somebody else build it the way you want it built, you still get to be creative in that. A lot of times, if you buy a house in suburbia, they all look the same. We're going to do real quick news here. The Philadelphia, PA, has approved their first tiny house village for the homeless.
Yeah, and I want to talk just briefly about the whole tiny house for the homeless notion. Believe me, I support that. But many of these things that we see are like $10 million for 30 houses. I'm like, what? So I think we're getting a little off track with that whole thing. I just saw a whole stream of consciousness in some group about that. I'll probably see if I can figure that out for next time. But secondarily, there are more people than the homeless that need tiny houses.
Right.
So we had here in Georgia, there was a community that was trying to build tiny houses for the homeless vets, and people were concerned, right? But there are a lot of other people, I guess they felt like there was going to be violence, or I don't know what they thought, but they didn't want to do it. But the reality is, I think the easier way to start breaking down some of those barriers is not to say all the tiny house villages are for homeless, like that one that's being built in Atlanta.
Right. Yeah.
We're
down
gonna go
in-
visit the next time it's nice.
Yes. Well, that may
Not
be
today.
March.
And I think they've got enough framing up and enough stuff happening that it's going to be more interesting than just a mud bog. Well, it will be a mud bog right now, but when we went the last time, they hadn't started.
We may
They
need
just graded
a tracked vehicle to get in and out of there.
But we'll go visit that. And we did visit the one in Knoxville, and I actually have video
We
of
did.
that.
We ought to
get
actually
that
post
done.
that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cute.
But you're right. It's we don't need tiny houses or shed homes to be typecast, if you will, as just a place to house the homeless. And cities and organizations need to work together, because building a tiny house village for $10 million is crazy. That's not a good use of taxpayer dollars when you could do it for so much less. But it is needed.
I don't know
now,
what they're doing.
In Germany, of course, they've developed these little cubicles. They're not cubicles. They're like coffins, if you will, for the homeless.
You can stand up in the coffin.
They're warm. This is just a bed for you to sleep in, but they're heated. You can lock them. There's a place for you to put your belongings. It's not anything that you could be in because of your claustrophobia. But and those are kind of interesting as just kind of stopgap things. But we've got a whole group of people that are not necessarily homeless, but need to be transitioned out of a group home or something like that. And tiny houses would be perfect for them as well.
Right. And there are a lot of people who want to live debt free. I mean, there's lots of reasons to have that, as we talked about, that first or second rung on the property ladder for people to be able to move upward on. So, I think as there is a groundswell, there are big groups on Facebook. We have a group on Facebook. There's a group that has 80,000, I think. Another one that has 75,000. We have about 4,000 in our group, and it's brand new. So I think there is enough of a groundswell that eventually we will win the day in some form.
Right.
And I'm writing a book about how to buy land, and I see in these groups all the time that there's so much confusion about what you can build tiny houses on, where you can build them, how you can build them, that I just, we need something that defines that for people, which is why I'm working. I never thought I'd be a book writer. I don't love doing it.
Called an author.
An author, right. But I don't love doing it because it's a lot of work. Oh my goodness, it's a lot of work.
I've been working on a book for 3 years.
Yeah, well, I've been working on it for about 3 weeks, but it's still a lot of work. But, somebody's got to start defining how you can do it and where it is. And so, but I just think we're limiting, the news world limits us to either tiny houses on wheels,
right,
or for the homeless.
Right.
But there's so much other things that are happening.
Right.
Many other things.
When you look for news on tiny houses, you primarily get stuff. You either get, and this is the second part of the news, you either get articles on tiny house villages for the homeless, which a lot of people don't want in their neighborhood.
I know,
because
they feel that there's things that come with that that are not positive for their neighborhood.
But the other articles that I'm sick of seeing are, and I'm just venting here, I'm sick of seeing the articles that talk about how bad it is to live in a tiny house, or the difficulties of living in a tiny house. Yeah, I know it may be clickbait, but I'd rather see articles that say, look at this cuteness, or look at the great use of space in this tiny house.
We do see those sometimes, but a lot of times because they're looking for clickbait and they're like, oh, this is why, sure. If in COVID, I'm bored. I'm ready to get out, and I live in 768 square feet on 3 acres.
Right.
I'm ready to go somewhere and do something. I'm ready to actually go eat in a restaurant. I'm fidgety. And if I were living in a trailer, one of the articles was somebody lived in a cargo trailer. Yeah, I'd be fidgety.
But if you're not there 24/7.
Well,
if you've got a cargo trailer, you can go anywhere. If there's a campground open.
Although the part of the article was that they were struggling with campgrounds that were open, but I think that's all back open again. I think it was just somebody looking for some.
Well, also good news doesn't sell.
True.
Negative news sells. So we're trying to do
something different.
Good news. So
anyway,
we've got right here briefly in this next second, we've got this.
Right.
Radio Tiny House Valentine's Day special. Well, it's not Valentine's Day anymore.
Well, it's a little after.
Yeah, but it's close enough to say it's a Valentine's Day
Yeah.
special. So if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell so you get updates and notifications when we have a new episode. And if you're listening to us, then we hope you'll continue to listen to our podcast in the car, because we don't want you to watch us on YouTube while you're driving.
No,
don't
that would be
encourage
bad.
that at all. But if you're listening to us and you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, it's Radio Tiny House on YouTube.
Yeah, and podcast anywhere you listen to podcast.
Yep. Beth and I just got off the phone with Kalina Newberry, who lives in an area that has been hit
by
hard
snow.
by all this snow and fun stuff.
Yeah, she lives in Arkansas.
She has no power.
Right. And so instead of eating up her battery on her phone by a long interview, we just did a quick cursory, ask a bunch of questions that probably we could have done on here, but we just wanted to make sure we gave her the opportunity to tell us what she did, and then we could get her off the phone.
Right. So this is her.
You'll see at the very end, we have a picture of her house in the snow.
In the snow that was taken yesterday.
Right.
So this is their cute little red barn. So this is why it's a Valentine's.
Exactly.
It's heart red, blood
It's heart
red.
blood red. And this is how they ordered it. And she said they almost have it paid off. So she's excited about that. And they have done an amazing job being creative, thrifting, finding things. So we just wanted to give you the opportunity. It's what'd she say? 12 by 40.
No, it's 14 by 40.
14 by 40.
So it's long.
It's long. There's the long picture. But I love the fact that they also have another door coming in the side, and they don't have those double doors that a lot of people get that are like those built doors that are hard for people to insulate. They did think through getting the right kind of doors, house type doors. As you notice on that side, that door is probably not full height because of the side of the metal roof.
Right.
But it's probably fine. Unless you're 6'6", you're probably fine. Anyway, it's on piers, as you see. And I asked her, they're at 1 degree today. We don't have pictures of that. She said they've covered in the sides.
Yes.
The bottom, but they don't really have an insulated floor, so the floors are cold.
Right.
So I gave her
which we're experiencing that right now a little bit, because
in the office.
We have not insulated the floors in our office because it was just basically going to be a shed.
Well, and we really thought we would send this thing back. We were going to use it.
Yep.
For a while, and then we were going to send it back. So we left it unfinished for a long time, and then we realized, oh look, we can write this off on our taxes because we were renting it.
Right.
And it was my office at the time, exclusively. I worked, there was nothing else in here. So, and then.
Well, there were 2 cats in here. 2
cats and me working in my office. But,
well, anyway. I had this part back here where I was working and studying.
Yeah.
But you had the front part.
It was only an office.
Right.
So anyway, we didn't really do much with it. We were just camping. But,
so anyway, this part down here on the bottom where you see the bouncing blue ball, I feel like Mitch Miller.
Yeah. You just dated yourself.
I did date myself.
Sorry.
Mitch Miller was before me, but I know who Mitch Miller is because I'm into all that kind of retro old stuff.
Yes.
We've done the same thing on ours. It's up on piers.
Yeah.
And we do need to put stuff. I'd like to insulate it, and yeah. Skirting.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
Right.
So this is their front porch.
And can they see us?
No. Do you want them to see us? Because I can do. I can do this.
Change up the view.
But then they see. We'll do this because that way they see us both. Because the other way is just me.
Okay.
And you're much better to look at than I am.
Well, we can't adjust the thing, and sometimes Barry falls off the edge. So we're trying to scrunch him over. Yeah, we're trying to scrunch him over. Anyway, this is an adorable little picture of her porch. And the thing that caught my eye about Kalina's decorating is that she uses bright colors. She's got a very bright red barn. She said she grew up in
the house that was red.
And so she wanted that. And of course, it's not just red, it's cherry red.
It is.
I love the pop of color. And then her hubby builds furniture. Hadn't never really done like a house building, but he builds furniture. So I'm sure he built this adorable little bench. And then as you see, she's decorating with red, yellow, and you'll see her kitchen is all done in aqua, which is just love the color combo.
Beth's colors, if she could
My
have
branding
personal,
colors,
her
if you
branding
would.
colors would be aqua and red. I bought her a pair of cowgirl boots one time that were aqua and red.
I still have them.
So here's the construction process. This is her husband in the center picture, if you can see this, and that is their 3-year-old son.
Right. So the thing about, when you're doing these kind of projects together with your family, the little kids get involved. Yes, of course, we want them to be safe, but it's a everybody hands on deck. And I think it's really good for kids to see mom and dad building something and creating things.
Yep.
But this is just if you're on YouTube, you can see this is just a standard shed on the inside, and dad is building doors
and walls
and creating kitchen cabinets, and just pulling it together. They've insulated the walls and the ceiling, but they did not insulate. That was the first thing I asked. Did you insulate your floors? And I recommend to anybody who's doing these drag and drop sheds to get the builder to insulate the floor.
Ready removable.
Because once it gets to your property, unless you're really skinny,
yeah,
or unless it's up really high, you're going to have a hard time insulating the floor, which is where you're losing a lot of your heat.
A lot of your heat goes out the floor. That's exactly right. And a lot of the cold comes in that floor.
So if nothing else that you can have them do, have them insulate the floor. And most builders can make that arrangement happen.
Yes.
They can
do
that while they're building it.
Or they can do it. You can do it before they lower it down on the piers.
That'd be really hard, because they come with that beater
true.
thing, and you have to spray
hours. Yeah,
I think that won't work.
That
but I think if you just ask for them to insulate it, yes, it will cost you some money, but I think it's worth every single penny. I wish we had done that.
Yeah, me too. My
feet wouldn't be cold. Now, here in this picture that if you're on YouTube, you can see it's dad and a 3-year-old making stairs. And and
I think the little boy did a great job.
He did do a great job. So here's the thing. These stairs you're going to see on the inside of the building, they are made like library stairs on a pole where you can move them, and they're on wheels, which I think is a really good use of space. And now that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
I've been trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do with stairs in this office, because we want to use our back loft without having to use a ladder, which I do now. And then you'll see that these, if you can pop it on YouTube, or we'll describe it to you too if you're on the podcast. And then now Barry's clicked to the master bedroom.
I have.
It's just got one little window, and it's divided in the back. So it's probably 7 or 8 feet wide.
And I wanted to go wider on this because the floors are so cool.
Yeah.
This is plywood that her husband cut
little
grooves in. And then Kalina stained them to be this color.
Yeah.
And it gives the floor a lot of texture for just plywood. I think that looks really good.
Right. It looks a lot better. And if if you're putting down plywood and you've just got squares of plywood, it can look a little just plain, but they've made this look like real wood. And then on the back wall, they have also added the stick-on pallet wood or whatever you get from Lowe's to decorate the back wall. The rest of it's just a white trim. I think they've used drywall.
That looks like drywall.
Drywall with just trim instead of doing a lot of sanding and mudding, which is an easier way to go about drywall.
Yeah,
kind of a pain in the neck.
Mudding is a pain, but sanding is the pain. It's a pain to clean up.
That's why when somebody said, did you do your own drywall in our house? I'm like, no, that's just such a mess.
So this is the bathroom door.
Right. Hubby made a hand-built bathroom door, very barn looking, and hung it on a galvanized pipe as a barn door. Very inexpensive way to cover that bathroom. She said they've changed that since because it was a little weird to have. Are you messing with the stuff?
I pushed the wrong button and you were cut off.
Oh, well, that's okay. The barn door was probably not as private as they wanted. So they went ahead and moved the bathroom barn door in, put it on hinges. But this photo shows how they did that barn door. And then the other door, this is the back wall. So you've got one door on one side and one door on the other. One goes into the bathroom. The other one goes into their master bedroom.
Right.
And both of those are handcrafted doors.
This is looking into now. This is obviously during construction,
Right.
but looking into the kitchen, and I love the metal roof.
They've got old recycled metal. So this is a lofted barn for
Right.
those that you can't see it, and they've done recycled recycled metal in their lofted barn, trimmed with looks like just natural colored wood. It's really cute. And then they've got what looks like to me like a chicken brooder pen,
Right, lamp.
Hanging over there. I think it will be the table, but it's in mid construction right now. And then I asked her about the little cow picture. There's this adorable little cow face picture on the wall, and she admitted to me that she painted it, and it's covers the electrical box,
actually,
which was right in the middle of her
We're
thing.
going to come over here, and we're going to do this,
so you can see it
and
better.
just kind of widen go into it a little bit more.
Yeah,
zoom
it's
into
cute.
it. It is cute, and she says she didn't really think she could paint,
and no,
but she did a great job.
She did do a great job, and is now teaching art or something.
Yes.
So, and is a chef. Very creative individuals. But anyway, so here we've got a cow peeking at us in the kitchen, and back to her color choices. She had red, yellow, and here's this blue, which is, I think, probably closer to an aqua, showing up a little blue in this picture, but it looks really cute with all the color combinations, which is why when I saw her photo/video in one of the groups, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to track her down.
Right, yeah.
And it's taken us a while to get together, but anyway.
I love just the plain wood countertops.
Yeah, what they did for the countertops is they're just 2x6s.
That's what it looks
2x6s, and they put those together and made just a wooden countertop. It's got a raised section in the back for like bar stool height, and then the front they've got a stove, which she said they got for $50.
Yeah, pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal. And so they've got their stovetop and their countertop just made out of 2x6s, and it looks lovely.
Yep.
And if you look back, this was obviously we're out of continuity here. Sorry. But if you can look back, you can see that is the electrical box.
I wonder how.
But it doesn't have a cow on it yet.
How did that happen?
I didn't realize that I had them out of sync.
So you can see at the end of the countertop, if you're not watching us, then if you're standing at the stove, then their electrical panel is on the wall to the left, and it's uncovered here with wires hanging.
Right.
I mean, they're there,
They're
so obviously
wiring.
they're in the midst of construction still. So.
Right, which is why part of the reason I liked the picture she sent me, because it's all pretty and Instagrammy, right? This is how they.
This
did
is
their
construction.
Work. This is construction, not perfect.
So this is kind of cool. So well, you can see if you're watching on YouTube the metal roof, which is really cool, and then the great cow picture, which I just love that. Her husband, she painted it, the electrical panel, and then her husband built a frame around it to make it look like it's a picture.
I didn't even suspect it was the electrical box.
No, I didn't either. I just thought it was a framed
cute picture in her kitchen.
The lamp.
The lamp
is really cool.
Yeah. So it looks to me, well, at first I thought maybe it was a ceiling fan, like the things from a ceiling fan,
right.
But it's just a lamp that has 4 light bulbs in it that just, like ceramic kind of looking, or maybe it's white metal. I'm not sure. Anyway, it didn't have any shades on it. So in order to make it look more barny, they took and made chicken wire shades on it. And I think that's really adorable. It goes with the whole look of their house.
Right. I think it's really cute.
Yeah. So that's cute.
And Beth has drawn an arrow so you can see that.
Well, it kind of disappeared.
It does disappear behind the white
So I was like trying to help you see it.
Or in front of the white wall, I should have said, not behind it.
Yeah.
Here's the cow again. I love the expression.
Now the cow has a chicken added to her painting.
And there's their dishes. I guess that's why you did that, to showcase.
Well, hubby built her a little cabinet for her dishes, and it's really cute.
And it's got something on it. What is that? Chicken wire, or is that?
Yeah, it's hardware cloth
okay.
For the front. And so he built her a little dish cabinet beside the cow picture. And basically, they've got a microwave, a stove, crock pot. They've got everything you need.
They do indeed.
And then I wanted to ask about the vent underneath their stove. Hubby was afraid that it would get hot under there. So
they vented it outside.
Just vented it I don't think it's outside. I think it's just vented underneath.
Oh, okay. And I love what they did for the drawers over there. They went to a flea market and they bought old
Crates.
Coca-Cola and soft drink crates. They've got Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, and I can't tell what the last one is.
And then there's one at the bottom that's kind of got hardware cloth on it. I think it's where she's putting her potatoes.
Right. But they just put handles on it and they made drawers out of these old crates.
It's really cute.
Because
Very creative.
The crates, those things used to have, there were sections. So
and they may still have sections.
Wood in there to keep the bottles from banging around. But I think that's just really cute.
Yeah, they've done a great job. And just a bigger shot of the ceiling with the
glowing orb.
Yeah, the recycled tin that they use for the interior.
Yes, which is I love.
It
that
looks
look.
nice.
Okay, stairs.
Now there's another big red arrow here.
Yes, there is.
And the reason I wanted to highlight this is that we struggle with what to do with our stairs because the side, we have the door to the podcast studio in the center. It looks just like this, but it's in the center. Right. And so the side wall, it might be a little shorter than theirs. I don't know. It seems kind of short. And so if you're trying to get up into the loft, you're dealing with trying to sneak in on the side and then crawl on your hands and knees to the loft. Right. But if I put stairs right over the podcast studio door, Barry's going to kill me.
Yeah. It'd be hard to get in that way.
Right. And it's only, it's a 2-foot wide door. We just had one we had, so it's not a big door. But anyway, so I told Barry, this is how we're doing our stairs. It's library type stairs. It's hanging on a rod and on wheels. And she says it moves a little bit. I would have to have locks on the casters because I'm safety conscious.
Well, and some kind of a handrail.
Yeah, I'd put handrails on it. And of course, we're only looking at one that's not completed yet.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
They're in mid-construction, but they've got it on galvanized pipe. It's the black pipe, which is like conduit or something, whatever that iron black pipe is. And then so they just move those stairs where they want them. So right now they've got them pushed way over to the edge. I'd like to do the same thing, but then be able to pull it to the middle when the kids want to go up to where I want to go up into that loft, and then turn around and move it away when we get done. Right. Then I think that will be perfect for us. So that's what we're going to do.
I think that's a great system.
Yeah. Like a library ladder, but
you can push it out of the way without it having it to be in the middle of the room.
Yes.
I'm getting a little tongue tied.
But I sometimes do too, as we know. Back up. Can you back up?
I can back up.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well, but there's another picture that has a little bit of it. The loft has like a railing up there, and I think they've used cattle panel fencing to keep kids from falling out of the loft.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
But there's only a little glimpse of it, and I didn't ask for that, but that's what I think I saw in another photo on the other loft.
Well, I like that idea. A lot of people use cattle panel or pig paneling on the
hardware, like big squares
on the outside of
metal.
the deck. For that very reason.
Yeah.
And it looks good too.
Yeah. And goes with their barn theme.
So this is their bathroom.
Yeah, it's got a cow trough, I guess you'd call that. What do you call that thing?
A water trough.
A water trough.
Because not just cows drink from it.
Right. Bathtub / shower.
Right.
And then it's got a cute bucket for the sink.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. They used just a metal pail for their sink.
Yeah, she said that's working really well. And they kind of have a barn-like zinc-looking mirror, too, that I'm sure she found. She's a big thrifter, so I'm sure she found that somewhere.
Yeah, that's just Galena's decided that she wants to have a shower in there because they had to raise the tub up so that it's a little harder to get into and out of now. But
and she says it's kind of cold, which is cold. That's why we have cast iron bathtubs to hold heat. And now, of course, if the bottom of your shed is not insulated and you're putting warm water in there into a thin tin bucket,
It's going to be
it's going to
a
get
quick
cold
bath.
quickly.
Yeah.
And she says it's kind of hard to get in because whatever. So they are planning on changing that and make that into just like a shower.
But this looks great.
It does look, it's beautiful, but she says it's not as practical as she had hoped.
Right.
So I guess the cows or the dogs or somebody will get that trough.
Maybe the kids will get it outside for a swimming pool or something.
Right. But it's really cute. And her hubby got those butcher block pieces and just used that and cut a hole in it.
Right.
Drop that sink right in there.
I think that's very creative. It's just really cool.
It's really cute.
This is a blank page that you put in there.
I didn't have
this
a blank
was a
page.
picture of the barn taken at night.
I don't know what that's about. Go again. Oh, okay.
And so I think this is the last one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a picture of their house in the snow. It's a little blurry, but she took it yesterday in the snow. And I just wanted to showcase that. It's kind of on an angle, but they've made themselves a little house, and the kids, they have 2 lofts, and
a boys loft and a girls loft.
Other picture I was talking about that had the cattle panel is probably one that was near the kitchen.
It's probably the one that is dark there.
Right. That's what it was. Anyway, they have a loft they have kids, they have loft for the girls and a loft for the boys, and they have family that lives nearby. So if they get a little too crowded in there, they can pop over to family. Right. And that's kind of what we do. Yep. We have 2 houses on our property, and we have kids in our house a lot. And
everybody just kind of comes and goes.
What's our intention?
Kids, adults, dogs, yeah, a cat.
We talked about last week. I think we talked about we've even had a goat in our house.
Yes, we have had a goat in our house. Actually,
I would never have thought.
The weird thing about last week was that I have this thing on an app on my phone called Time Hop, and Time Hop looks at all the pictures that I've placed on Facebook.
Right.
And you can do it on Twitter and other things as well. Right. But I link it to Facebook. And so we had the conversation about Tabby, our goat, being in our house. And on Time Hop later that day, it popped up as a picture that was a year ago we took. So it was a year ago to the day when we talked about Tabby, our goat, being in our house, that she was actually in our house.
Well, the same thing happened about my hair.
Yep.
I went and got my hair cut. I don't love it, but it is what it is, and it'll grow. But I went and got my hair cut, and I said, wow, it's been a long time since I've been here because of COVID and whatever. And so on Barry's Time Hop, it came up exactly a year.
Exactly a year.
Later that day. So weird how life is.
That is weird. But Beth has witchy ways, we call it.
We call them
witchy ways. We have all those kind of things happen all the time. So this was the snow from yesterday.
Yep.
They're cold. They have no power.
Yeah.
And
so she said next is a wood burning stove.
Yes.
We talked with her a little bit about our Ninja Bat. And then the other thing I've suggested to people is, look, if you haven't insulated your floors and it's cold, now it's not going to help if you lose your power. But there is something called a Rug Buddy, but there's another brand too that you can put under a carpet and it heats your floor. So if you're cold, you can sit on it.
Right. That's
so I think that would be a big,
which would be kind of nice
thing for shed owners.
I'd like to get one of those in here. I think just to put under our feet.
Yep.
It'd be like having a heated floor in Norway.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for
which is also a great story, by the way.
Yeah. Laying on the floor.
Yeah, Beth, our first night in Norway, when we went, we turned on.
May, but it felt like it was like
it was so
December.
cold.
It was so cold.
We had the coldest harbor tour in the world, I think. But Beth wound up turning on the heated floor on a wall switch in the bathroom, and actually laying down on the floor in the bathroom because it was warm. So nice and toasty.
Right. So anyway, that's our Radio Tiny House logo.
Yes, indeed. Again, subscribe if you
we'd love it if you would.
We would indeed. And hit that bell because that helps you know when we have a new podcast. Although I usually announce it too. So we'll go back to us.
Yeah.
And I think that let's go back here. So we have upcoming workshop.
Yeah, my Tuff Shed Home. You can see our event that I will have, and it's a workshop to teach you how to go through the process of building your own shed house. Now, it's it's a couple of hours workshop, so obviously I'm not telling you every single step that you need to make to build your house, but I'm giving you all the scoop about how and where and when to do the things that you need to do. How you can find land, how you can do that. I also separated that out into its own workshop that I also do. And that's the book I'm working on
Right.
to help people figure out how to do
That's
land.
that's really the
complicated.
most important step.
Get some place to put your tiny house.
Because you can't
first.
just do it anywhere you want.
No, it's very limited actually. Anyway, so get it done in 2021. It's on My Tuff Shed Home, listed as an event on Facebook. That's the easiest, most accessible way for us to make that available.
Okay, cool. We
Mhm.
want to help you be able to achieve your dream of a tiny house or a shed home.
Mhm.
And we're,
Or
of course, most
They're
familiar
the same
with
thing. Tiny
Well, they-
houses that can be shed
They
homes,
can
or
be,
vice
yes.
versa.
We did well, it's a small house, but it's a not so tiny house
That we live in?
that we live
Yeah,
in. Yes.
right.
Some days it feels really big, and then some days it's like, oh my gosh,
I wish I had a basement to send the
yeah,
children
exactly. So anyway, that's coming up.
to. Yep.
Then we've got an upcoming interview with Caroline Smith, who happens to be our daughter, who lives in Tiny House 1. And I think we're going to try to do a tour of Tiny House 1 at some
Yeah,
point
we're
in time.
figuring out the details about that.
But she's part of Beth has a work from home
Yeah.
kind of a thing, and so people working from home in their tiny houses or shed
we're
homes.
trying to interview people who are making a living by working from their tiny house because
Right.
a lot of those are more rural and or shed home anyway. Now, of course, one of the things we're also trying to focus on and get more information on is tiny houses in the city, like accessory dwelling units and things like that.
Right.
So we'll be featuring some of that too. But anyway, that's where we are right now.
But it's important. I mean, having land is important, and meeting codes is important, and things like that. But it's also important to figure out what it is you're going to be doing if you're moving to a rural area, because
Yeah.
commuting can often be hard.
Right.
And you've got to look at all sorts of things like how am I gonna do Zoom calls
Right.
if my internet is crappy?
How am I going to get internet?
Yeah,
That's
how am I
something
gonna
we're
get
working
internet?
on. Barry's helping me with my book with a whole section about rural internet. I do want to back up and say that Kalina lives in an area that they don't have code requirements.
Right.
So that's how they're able to live in a drag and drop or ready removable. There are many places you can't do that. And I'm doing a lot of research around where and how you can. But, that's stuff that's important for people to know.
It is important, because the last thing you want to do is
Is
buy a beautiful piece of property and put a shed home on it, and then have somebody come out and say, sorry,
Can't do it.
can't do it. You got to either move it or forfeit it.
Right. There was just a young couple in our group that said, well, I went to go, took my thing to the county and they tell me I can't build in a shed. I'm like, that's not really true. You can live in a shed home. You cannot live in a ready, removable, and drag and drop
Right.
shed. So getting the definitions right is, I think, really important for people.
Right.
Because we live in a shed home,
But
it's built to International Building Code.
Right.
But it was built by Tuff Shed.
Right.
So getting all the right understanding what you're asking is really important when you're trying to get it done.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll talk about that in the Get It Done workshop.
Right. So Caroline coming up soon, next week, week after next, something like that.
Yep.
And then you can find us.
We talked about that.
My Tuff Shed Home on Facebook, radiotinyhouse.com, Radio Tiny House on YouTube.
Mhm.
And if you've got a question or a comment, or if you know somebody that's living in a tiny house that would love to be interviewed, or shed home, drop us a note at radiotinyhouse@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is awesome. So are you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So I think that's it for this week.
Yep.
And we will see you next week. Hope everybody stays safe in the cold
And warm, yes.
and the snow that's out there. Don't know how much longer it's going to last, but we have friends that are in Texas and Louisiana that have never seen it this cold before.
To death, yes.
So send some good thoughts their way. Make them warm thoughts.
Yes.
Toasty, warm, hot chocolate thoughts.
There you go.
All right. Y'all have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.